Just when we thought tax on crypto here in the UK couldn't get any more confusing, HMRC in their infinite wisdom decide to step out and mix things up a bit. And it's pretty bad. Let's take a look at that today, shall we?
As a taxpayer, you'll want to be able to evaluate our overall tax system. Are the taxes fair to the taxpayer?
Every so often I read something that kind of just doesn't make sense. Something I really struggle to wrap my head around. Like the fact a can of Diet Coke contains absolutely no calories. Or how about that news that a guy called Andy from Windsor gave millions of pounds to a random woman he'd never met?
Didn't happen.
What a lovely thing to do. And then there's this. New guidance from HMRC around the way crypto is to be taxed. And honestly, it's a bit of a mess. I always try and remain balanced on this channel, but I'm struggling to rationalise these proposed changes. We'll get on to that, but first of all, let's start with what actually happened. On the 2nd of February 2022, HMRC, or Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs, added a few pages to their section on crypto tax. The guidance basically sets out how HMRC are proposing that they tax DeFi, or decentralised finance. Basically, lending, staking, all of that good stuff you get with DeFi. This is them saying this is how we think we should tax it. The guidance, which was dropped on us just 2 days after the deadline for tax return submissions, got the UK crypto scene in a right tiz.
Are the taxes fair?
Ian Taylor of Crypto UK said in response, "This inconsistent approach by HMRC creates friction for crypto investors, adds undue reporting requirements for the consumer, and creates tax compliance confusion." The very vocal response from the UK crypto world is likely a symptom of the fact that this, at this stage, is guidance. What I mean by that is, guidance is not law or the rules. It's basically HMRC saying, this is what we're thinking of doing. What do you think?
I don't think it's fair.
But before you get all excited and click off, it's worth caveating that with, typically, guidance is going to happen. And any decent accountant will probably tell you to take these rule changes pretty seriously.
This is totally serial.
Especially when your crypto tax bill, as a result of these rules, could be significantly higher. So what are the changes? HMRC have laid out this approach in the release title Crypto 61620. The taxman is basically acknowledging the absolute explosion in DeFi in the UK in the last couple of years, and has almost been forced to react to that explosion. And they outline their reaction within this guidance right here. It is important to consider whether the lender, liquidity provider, actually transfers their beneficial ownership of the tokens to the borrower, decentralized finance (DeFi) lending platform. So let's give an example to explain how the current tax system works on cryptocurrency here in the UK. Let's say I buy some DTM coin for £10 a coin, and in the future I want to swap that for some Cobweb tokens. At the point I make that swap, my DTM is worth £20 a coin, so it's gone up in value by £10 for each coin. As soon as I make that swap from DTM to Cobweb, HMRC argues that I'm locking in gains, I'm crystallising that gain of £10 per token. At that point, they would say that I owe capital gains tax on that as long as it qualifies. Basically, you get £12,300 worth of capital gains tax-free allowance each year. Now, it's annoying, but it makes sense because every time you swap one coin for another, you are disposing of the previous coin. Now, where this new guidance gets really messy is HMRC are basically saying that anytime you stake a cryptocurrency, anytime you put it into a liquidity pool or loan it out through a third party, you are essentially crystallizing, locking in that cryptocurrency. In their eyes, you're getting rid of it. And thus, you potentially owe capital gains tax at the point you make that transfer. You would pay it via a self-assessment tax return at the end of the year, but they're saying that is what's called a taxable event. It's important to consider whether the lender, liquidity provider, actually transfers their beneficial ownership of the token to the borrower or decentralized finance entity. Not your keys, not your crypto means that in a lot of examples with these DeFi platforms, when you put your crypto onto that platform or you engage with the DeFi network in any way, you are, in essence, in HMRC's eyes, relinquishing control. And at that point, they would want tax. Capital gains tax. Now, obviously that's pretty messy because using our example again, let's say I've got my DTM and I've held it for a year and it's gone from £10 to £20 and I want to stake it or loan it out so that I can generate a bit of interest on there so I can make the money work for me. At the point I do that, HMRC is saying I'm relinquishing control of that token. But in my eyes, I fully expect to get that back at some point. But HMRC just don't see it like that.
We don't care.
What's even more confusing is why are HMRC treating cryptocurrency in a different way to the UK regulator, the Financial Conduct Authority? The FCA group crypto into three broad categories. You have exchange tokens, utility tokens, and security tokens. The security token definition is one that applies to most cryptocurrencies. On page 40 of their guidance on crypto, they say, these tokens have characteristics that mean they are the same as or akin to traditional investments like shares. When a financial institution lends out shares, it's not treated as a disposal. They do not incur capital gains tax at the point that they lend out those shares. So why is HMRC treating cryptocurrency different to shares in this manner?
Are the taxes fair to the taxpayer?
It's like HMRC just got a massive bill through the post that they think, oh God, we need to pay this. Best raise some money.
Some newspapers put the figure up to £12 million, raising questions about where exactly that kind of money comes from.
I mean, all I'm saying is maybe certain customs within the royal family have left Her Majesty clucking for some extra revenue. I'm only joking, but thanks to Prince Andrew for sponsoring all the bad jokes in this week's episode. I can only really see three explanations here. They're doing this to get more tax, it's an intentional move to stifle DeFi within the UK, or they just don't understand the space and they've got this completely wrong. Because let's be blunt here, if this becomes the rule, it's going to be really bad for DeFi here in the UK. The prospect of getting a 10 to 20% tax bill just to obtain a little bit of interest on your crypto is going to put a lot of people off. And honestly, it's a little surprising because HMRC is at complete contradictions with Matt Hancock's recent tweet about making the UK home of innovation for crypto. But this is the guy that struggled to get his head around social distancing rules, so I don't know how much we can trust him to be on the bleeding edge of cryptocurrency. And this is why the UK crypto scene's so angry, because there's almost a complete contradiction between what senior or former senior politicians have said is the way the government is going to view crypto, as well as this difference in opinion on how crypto is treated from a tax perspective versus what the UK regulator's saying. Now, HMRC have responded to this criticism. A spokesperson for HMRC explained the new guidance was necessary to ensure transparency for all parties. Well, it's good to know someone in charge is keen to be transparent about parties, ain't it?
Those were meetings of people at work.
This video is like a who's who of sleazy blokes in power. HMRC continue with the update to the Crypto Asset Manual explains our view on taxation and the use of crypto assets in DeFi. DeFi is a novel sector that has grown rapidly since 2020. To date, few tax administrations have published guidance on this complex topic, and this demonstrates our commitment to providing clarity to our customers. So I guess that makes us the customer and the product we're buying is more tax? So what can we do about this? There are a lot of vocal groups online setting up discords and petitions in an attempt to make noise around this. I've linked a load below if you want to get involved, but I imagine the taxman's pretty used to annoying people, and I doubt they're that active in the comments all that much. In truth, it's people with influence who are going to be able to sway or influence that decision. In terms of practical steps that you could take as a crypto investor in response to this, a lot of people might turn around and go, well, this is only guidance, it's not the rules yet, I'm just going to crack on as I am because who cares? But in reality, they released this guidance just 2 days after the deadline for the previous year's tax returns. Now, what they could be doing is trying to get this in for next January, say, and then work backwards and go, well, we told you about it at the start of the tax year, you now got to pay us for all that tax, come on, pay up. Now I'm going to be watching the space very closely for developments, and in the meantime I'm going to make sure that any actions I do take around DeFi with cryptocurrency don't see me fall foul of the new proposed rules. The last thing I want to do is use up my capital gains tax-free threshold by depositing cryptocurrency into DeFi networks. One way around that is the use of stable coins like I do on BlockFi at the minute, where I have a balance of USDC that provides me an 8.5% yearly return. As the name suggests, the price of these coins should remain relatively stable, which means capital gains tax then isn't a concern because there's no gain in capital. I found it useful to stake a proportion of my emergency fund on a service like BlockFi so that I can generate a bit of interest, basically negating the negative impact of inflation on my emergency fund. There's a link in the description if you want to check it out. It is an affiliate link, which means we both get a bit of cryptocurrency if you were to sign up to it. Please consider that there are risks inherently with any form of cryptocurrency service or DeFi project. There's no protection for your funds at all. Crypto is a fast evolving space and HMRC are a slow moving beast. The rules of old are not fit for purpose when it comes to taxation on decentralized assets, and I think this guidance shows that perfectly. Implying that people owe capital gains tax at the point they stake a cryptocurrency is absolute madness. But as this is guidance, there is of course room for change in the policy. Now, as we've already mentioned, this is just guidance at this point and it only really applies to DeFi. But there are some set in stone rules around taxation of cryptocurrency here in this country that we have to follow, and ignoring them could be a massively costly mistake. HMRC are using their influence to force exchanges to hand over data on people with crypto balances. So you should watch this video next to ensure that you're up to speed with the current UK tax rules around cryptocurrency. So if the taxman does come knocking, you ain't sweating.
I don't sweat.
Fair.